If you're moving to Mexico long term as an expat or just visiting, figuring out how to get a local cell phone carrier can be a bit of a pain in the butt because there's not any reviews online. The cell phone packages are kind of confusing and the carriers are kind of confusing. And so I actually got it all figured out. I made a little presentation to teach you what the different carriers are, what the differences are, what to look for in the packages, and which one might be the best one for you. Check it out. If you're looking at moving to Mexico, you really only have two real options for your cell phone carrier. You have either Telcel or Altan Redes, which means Altan Networks, the network of everyone. There are some other carriers like Movistar and at&t that are kind of growing, but like I said here, I personally don't know anyone who uses those carriers. Basically, the only time I've ever seen these used is by people who are roaming here, and their American carrier contracts with these guys to provide service while their users are here in Mexico. So AT&T and Movistar provide a lot of the roaming service to American telecoms. They also sell service directly, like I can buy cell phone service through them, and they actually provide and own, cell phone towers and antennas. But the main player here is Telcel. Up until about 2014, they actually had a monopoly on the cell phone market here in Mexico. So they sell service, they provide roaming to American carriers, and they provide actual infrastructure. They own actual towers and actual antennas. The odd man out here is called Altan Redes, Altan Networks, and they only provide infrastructure. So they just provide the tower and the antenna. They do not sell cell phone service directly. So to understand why there's really only these two when you've probably seen like hundreds of different carriers online, let me give you a quick history lesson. So I know history isn't the most interesting thing, um, but let me just give you a quick, if I can get that out of the way, give you a quick lesson here. So in 2010 to 2013, Carlos Slim was the richest man in the world, And he owned like 80% of the Mexican telecom market through a monopoly. He basically owned it all. He owned America Mobile, which operates Telcel and Telmex, which are the largest cell phone providers and the largest internet providers in Mexico. He was kind of slimy, had a monopoly. In 2014, the Mexican government passed a Telecommunications Act saying, hey, we need to get some competition in this market. And so we're going to introduce a government subsidized competitor called La Red Compartida, the shared network. And the intent of this kind of new entity was to just wholesale wireless service, meaning they provide the infrastructure, but they don't actually sell it directly to consumer. They sell it to other businesses who sort of piggyback on the network. So, like I said here, they don't offer service directly. They just provide access to the network infrastructure, like they actually went out to the jungle and put up a cell phone tower, right? So, the way you can think about this is it's kind of like building a railway network but not being able to run any trains. So you build the network and then train operators pay you to run their trains on your network that you've created. Because that's kind of the barrier to entry, right? It's hard to go out into the jungle and clear the jungle and put up a fiber optic line and a huge cell phone tower. And it was causing there to be no new entrants into the cell phone market in Mexico. In order to use this government subsidized network, you couldn't have any existing ties to any existing operator. So if there were three operators, using this network, you couldn't be related to one. So you couldn't have a monopoly, was what they were trying to prevent. So in 2016, 2 years later, Altan Redes bid on this to provide the infrastructure and to get this government contract, and they won the contract. 2 years later, in 2018, the network turned on. They had their first, sales to people and whatever. In 2021, Altan Redes filed bankruptcy in Mexican court. They said, hey, this isn't working out for us. We need bankruptcy protection. Throughout those negotiations, the Mexican government bailed them out and then became the majority stakeholder in Altan Redes. So it essentially became a government subsidized, now it's kind of a quasi government owned entity. In 2022, they exited bankruptcy and it's been fine since then. So since then, there have now become over 98 that I know of operators that use the Altan Redes network. So let's take a look at those. All 98 of these brands, these little wireless internet and MiFi mobile internet providers, they all use the infrastructure created when the government passed that law in 2014 to create this shared network. So Altan Redes built out this network with government subsidies to create these towers and these antennas and run fiber optic lines to give some competition to Telcel because there was no competition for Telcel. And then all these companies basically created an agreement with Altan Redes to provide cell phone service using this infrastructure. So it's kind of funny to me in some of my, local expat groups and discussions here where people will say, "Oh yeah, I had Izzy internet and they just had no service in my house, so I switched it out to New or to Byte or to CFE." And there's part of me that's like, I don't really want to tell you this, but it's actually the exact same towers because they just use Altan's infrastructure. But hey, if you feel good about it, that's 90% of the battle. So basically, all of these providers use the actual infrastructure, the physical wires and physical antennas and physical towers of Altan Redes. So there's a quick history lesson about why all these carriers suddenly exist and how they're able to do it because they basically are able to use this sort of government subsidized infrastructure that was created with that law in 2014. So here in Mexico, we have used Byte Mobile, which is one of these operators that operates on the Altan network. It's actually owned by Walmart. It started in 2020, and in 2024, they were named the fastest growing telecommunications carrier in Mexico. In quarter four of 2023, so about a year ago, they added 3.8 million new subscribers, which sounds cool, but if you compare that with Telcel, that only added 417,000, you can see that they're like clearly, growing like crazy right now. You can get a SIM card for Byte at Bodega Aurrera, which is like a Walmart brand, but it's not a Walmart, but it's like a Walmart, at Sam's Club or at Walmart proper. And you can get an eSIM online if you don't want to go into a store. So we use Byte because ultimately it provides a really good service for the amount of data that we get. And if you watched my Google Voice video, you know that we don't use anything but data. So we use Byte for the data service. They give me some local Mexican number. I don't even know what it is. I've never even looked it up. It's essentially just my username, but I guess I could call somebody here in Mexico. But everyone's on WhatsApp, so I don't need to use that number. And the data from Byte powers WhatsApp and Google Voice. So the data goes to WhatsApp. WhatsApp, when you make calls and texts, uses your data line. And basically every single person and business in Mexico and the whole world is on WhatsApp. So with the data powering WhatsApp, we can talk to anybody we want to talk to. But if you're an expat and you still have family in the US, or you want to call a landline or a cell phone in the US, then you need to use the data to power your Google Voice line. So Google Voice also uses the data service, which is provided by Byte. And with Google Voice, I can make unlimited calls and texts to cell phones on landlines in the USA. So we use Byte Mobile to power our cell phones. If you go to the website and want to look at getting their service, you might be a little confused. So I actually made a whole chart to break down the different plans and I walk you through the website. So let's take a look at that. So if you're looking to join Byte and you want to go to their webpage and look at their plans, you might be a little bit confused because they have all these different plans and it's kind of hard to tell them apart. So on the next slide, I actually have a breakdown of the plans that I recommend. But, looking high level at their website, you have, these 8 plans. I recommend this one, or this one. And on the next page, I will tell you why. I don't recommend this one because you're paying extra for VIX and you're not going to use it. With this one, you're paying for Walmart's like insurance prepaid program. I don't know, but you probably don't need it. With this one, it only lasts for 20 days. This one lasts 15 days, and this one only lasts 15 days. And this one does not have unlimited social media. So these ones, in my mind, aren't really worth the money unless you're on a tight budget. But I would go for the 230, the 300, or the 200. So let's take a look at what those look like. So I went through and read all the fine print on all these plans, and let me give you just the high level. So I typically use this middle plan, but these plans are all pretty similar. They're all good for 30 days. The data included, you have unlimited data, which basically means you get 20 gigabytes of high speed, which also includes 5 gigabytes in the USA if you are going back to the USA for something. After you exhaust the 20 gigabytes, they then give you 20 gigabytes more, but it's at 3G speeds. So you could still make calls on WhatsApp, you could still browse the internet, it will just be slower. If you exhaust those 20 gigabytes, then they give you the unlimited at 2G, which is basically useless. I mean, you could probably sneak out a couple WhatsApp messages, but you're not going to be calling people. You're not going to be loading pictures. It's basically emergency SOS only speeds. 1500 minutes, 1000 texts. I've never used them. Everyone's on WhatsApp. Social media, again, they're unlimited because this whole plan is unlimited. But if you do exhaust your unlimited plan, it will continue, like I said, at 2G speeds. With this plan right here, you see where it says comparte internet. That means internet is shareable. So that means it has a hotspot. So yes, you can hotspot on that plan. For 230 pesos, which is $11 right now, you get 30 days of data. It gives you similar 20 gigs of high-speed data, including 5 gigs in the USA, then 20 gigs at 3G, and then unlimited after that at 2G. They give you, for some reason, 2,000 texts. Again, nobody uses these, or 2,000 minutes, but whatever. And then the same, unlimited. These two top plans are the exact same, except for some reason they give you 2,000 minutes and they give you no hotspot on that one. So mostly you're paying for the hotspot. The last plan, which I think is also a really good plan if you're not a heavy data user outside of your social media, is the 200 peso plan, which right now is 10 US dollars for 30 days. It includes 15 gigabytes of data, 11.2 gigs at the full speed, and then they slow you down for the last 3.8 until you get to 15 at 3G speeds. So again, it's usable. You can make calls and text on WhatsApp with that. They also gave you 1,500 minutes and 1,000 texts. Again, I never use them, but they're there. Social media is unlimited, right? You see that right here. Ilimitada, that means unlimited. WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. But there is a lot of fine print with that. What that means is it's unlimited, but for example, with WhatsApp, which is what you're going to be using the most here to communicate, that's only unlimited texts, unlimited voice notes, unlimited pictures, unlimited videos, and any like little files, like if you send a PDF or something. But you can't do any like voice calling, you can't do video calling, you can't do real-time GPS, ongoing sharing. So it is unlimited, but it's basically emergency unlimited. That's a good way to put it. And then with that plan, you can also use your hotspot, obviously up to that 15 gigabyte limit. So if you're wondering how the quality is, I've done a couple speed tests around town at different locations and at different time of day. It's actually pretty good. I mean, I've been actually very happy with my service. I got 32 down, 40 up, 56 down, 57 up, 71 down, 9 up. So kind of mixed, but mixed in a good way. So let's hop over to their website and I'll kind of walk you through what the recharges look like and what the coverage looks like. This is the Byte website. I'm signed in over here. This is their network map. There's not a key to show you what these colors mean. Maybe eventually they'll add one, but there's pretty much coverage all over the major highways and cities in Mexico. I live down here in the Playa del Carmen area, so you can see, anytime we go up to Cancun or down to Tulum or kind of anywhere along the way here, we have service pretty much the entire time. We actually took a road trip over to Merida a couple weekends ago. And so we drove up kind of through the whole jungle and, we lost service through here, but we basically had service the entire way and had amazing service up in Merida. So as far as service goes, everywhere I go, 90% of my time here in Playa, I have great service. I cannot complain. And as you saw on the speed test, it's fast. If you want to go look at the recharges, they're just right here. Again, you can see I went through these. I recommend the 300, the 230, or the 200. Go over here to datos de consumo. That shows you how much your consumption is. So I've used 15.37 of my unlimited plan. If I went to the United States, it would show right here, my bolsa de datos. That would show me how much data I've used out of that, 5 gigabytes that I showed you in that previous slide. How many messages, how many minutes I have, all that. When my next recharge is. One of the nice things about Byte is you can set up recargas recurrentes, which is automatic recharges. So once I set this up and paid for everything, it's just been running on autopilot and I've never even had to touch it. So if you're worried about the hassle of having to go recharge your phone and do the thing, I put my American credit card into here and it recharges every month with no problems. You can also go over here, you can see your recarga recurrente right here. And it shows me that my plan renews on this date, it just renewed on this date, and it just is gonna run. So overall, we've been very happy with Byte as a carrier. Again, if you are using a carrier that uses the Altan redes, pretty much they're all gonna have the exact same coverage because they all use the exact same antennas. So basically at this point, you're looking at price and convenience. I would say Byte has one of the best values I've found here in Playa or in Mexico. And as far as convenience, once I set up this recurring charge and I haven't really had to check it anymore, it's actually been really nice for us. And we are not in any hurry to leave Byte Mobile. They're not paying me to promote them. I'm not getting anything from this. I'm just sharing the tools that we use here as expats. And if you're here for a long time, that can make your life easier. So hopefully that was helpful to walk you through kind of the only two main cell phone competitors here in Mexico and why you either have Telcel or you kind of have everybody else. And if you're concerned about how to get a SIM card with Byte, you can get a free eSIM online emailed to you. And if you want to get a physical SIM, I actually made a video of us walking in and getting one here in Playa del Carmen. We just walked right into the Walmart. They had a booth right in front. And if it's not there, you can actually go to the electronics section. It's back there all the time. I think they're doing a promotion when they had it in the front. And we just took the SIM card up to the front desk, told them we wanted the the 200 peso package. And they just activated the package and gave me the SIM. It took me like 4 minutes. So it's really easy. If you're going to live here for a long period of time, or if you're going to be an expat, you need to migrate your phone number to Google Voice. You can watch my other video in my profile. And you need to just get a cheap mobile provider like Byte to power the data for WhatsApp and for Google Voice, and you'll be good to go. Hope this was helpful. See you in the next video.